This week in the Indian Dots podcast, we discuss why Karan is upset about people wearing sliders in public, the stuff that happened with Mandeep Kaur and how that was pretty tragic, a bit of a dissection there, why socializing can be quite tiring, worker etiquettes on how to host a guest. What else did we discuss? Karan giving a blood test to someone using reggae and Punjabi music, quite a genius idea. And lastly, why is it cheaper to break the law than it is to abide by it? Compelling questions, interesting answers, good analysis, good company. Catch you through on the other side. What's happening, Doctor? Welcome to this week's episode of the Indian Doctor podcast. You know the segments, you listened to last week, you know the layout. So, what's happening, Doctor? Fill me in.
Well, I kind of miss you not being here. It's quite nice doing the
live
podcasting. But we are going to plan to do a lot more. Yeah.
So much so. What did you say? Yeah, go on. Tell people what you said.
Go on. So that is not going to be said again. You guys, we had a few technical difficulties. So this is the second recording.
No, there was. I'm up for it. But I begged for this at the beginning. To give people context, right, here's what happened. Right. Did the live podcast, got it all great, got the clips, got it edited in like a nice format, and Goran's like, fucking hell, wow, we need to do more of these in-person podcasts. And I was like, mate, I tried to tell you this a long time ago.
Let me finish
you weren't
this sentence.
interested.
I tried to tell you this a long time ago, and then I moved to London. So it's not possible.
I can still make things work.
Yeah. You come to war. You come to war.
Give me notice.
Things to do in it. You got your errands. You got your task list.
Hey, I can do podcasts on Fridays. I can come down Thursday night. I can make it work.
Okay.
You know I can.
That's fine.
It's workable. We will take this offline. Don't you worry. You're also telling me you're getting sweaty in very precarious body
heat,
parts.
My neck, right? So this undercarriage of the beard, as it were, right? Just susceptible.
You love it. You love it.
I got to keep dabbing at it and seeing my patients, and then it's just like,
no, it's horrible,
man. I was like, just has paracetamol, go home, man. Obviously, can't say that.
Do any doctors stop masking now?
Not fully. As in, when we're seeing patients, I don't think I've seen one doctor who's not wearing a mask. When we're seeing patients. Like I said, outside of that, there are areas in the hospital you don't need to wear it, non-clinical areas. Walking around, having lunch, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Say you're doing your notes somewhere else. Good thing about note taking now in a hospital is all electronic. There's no writing anymore. Game changer, man. So, I can look at hundreds of patients' notes, just one place. Everyone can edit the same work. Yeah.
Easy work.
Game changer. I can never move to a trust now where I have to go backwards and go back to like handwriting notes. But I digress.
Yeah.
August is a good month. My brother-in-law is getting married, so the first event is this Sunday. So to that end, I'm essentially doing 2 days of A&E a week for the whole of August, it's essentially like a bit of a holiday. I mean, 2 days a week in A&E is super relaxed. I've got some other kind of private contracting work that I'm doing.
Easy work.
Which is nice. I was there today working for the National Express. That was nice. So that...
National Express?
Yeah, so a lot of...
International bandana, yeah?
Well, the word is national.
Stop hitting the table.
I didn't hit the table.
Stop hitting the table.
You're hearing things now. Like, you're actually hearing things.
Okay.
You're preempting.
I heard the table.
No, that was the mic. I think you hit the mic. So, yeah, the word is national. It's not International Express. It's National Express. It's a national concept, yeah?
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, National Express. Sorry. National bandana, not international.
They come in and they do a maths test and a verbal reasoning test. And if they pass that, then they're eligible. So they have a medical with me. And then I screen them medically. So it's not the same kind of chaos of A&E. Much fewer clients. It's a much more controlled environment. It's nice. Breaks up the week. So that allowed me last week to help out with 2 Sikhi camps. So one in Warsaw and one in Nottingham. That's really nice. Nice to give back. I realize I hold down when I see these kids and they're like, call me Uncle G, Baba G.
Yeah. Hurts, innit? Hurt.
Yeah,
Uncle. Yo. When you get blessed with that stain, it never comes off. No vanish is taking that off. No mold remover is getting rid of it. It's stuck. All right.
My
stuck for life.
Saka Chacha's daughter, so my first cousin, her daughter
That sounds very distant,
No,
but
my
okay.
real chacha, my dad's brother, his
Mhm.
daughter, so my first
Mhm.
cousin.
So just say your cousin,
Yeah,
man.
my
It's
first cousin,
easy.
right? So
Yeah,
first
yeah.
is a closer stuff, okay? Close relationship. And so
Okay.
her
Yeah, yeah.
daughter, Noor, so I'm technically like a mama, and she's scared of
Mhm.
me. Like she just runs off when she sees me. I think it's a bit. She calls me Baba, Baba. She goes, oh,
How old is she?
she's probably like 3 or 4. She's like, oh, Baba, oh, and then she'll just run away and thinks I'm Baba. So.
I've never had a kid be afraid of my beard. They normally just see it and go yoink and just
You know
pull
what
on
it
it.
is.
And I'm
You
like,
have a
okay, this really hurts.
different setup though because you don't wear parka. You kind of just look a bit like a Mexican, that hippie vibe. Like, you got that kind of relaxed feel,
I look
right?
hipster,
It's a
baby.
different thing. Whereas when you see
Yeah,
me, it's
yeah.
like this.
Yeah, but Karan,
Yeah,
Karan,
yeah,
see that there? I have no vodka line, no tan line.
yeah. But
It's
we're
all
not debating
fresh.
that point. Yeah, I'm not saying it
Nice,
doesn't look
man.
better. If I had the same hairline, I probably do as well. But that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that's probably why they're not scared of you. Whereas when they see me, it's like the whole get up. They're like, "Yo, 4 lines, man." Do you know what I mean? Can I
I
have 12
see that.
bottles of bleach, please?
Four
You
lines.
get me?
Yeah, I
12
see
bottles
that.
of bleach. You know what I mean?
Well, Karan,
Mm.
I
You
gotta
got to ask
ask
me.
you. I've been seeing a lot of sliders in
Oh
public
my god.
recently because I get on the tubes,
Oh
London.
my
Everyone's got their
god.
toes out. You know, just hold that thought. Yeah, I need to go on this
Mm.
for a sec. This is the main topic for this segment,
It's the
FYI,
main
people.
topic for the podcast today.
Basically,
Mm.
this is how. Let me just put it in camera. This is how your toes are supposed to look. Yeah, straight. I see toes looking like this
Sorry.
all the
Do you
time,
mean like
and bro, it grinds my
these are
fucking
the
gears.
toes from the top? If you look in the aerial view, you're saying this plane.
Yeah, toes are all meant to be like somewhat linear
Right.
with spacing. Yeah, naturally your
Right.
shoes they get cramped, and then this one's
Right.
your
What-
big toe. It starts pushing inwards like it looks crooked.
Ah,
It doesn't look straight, and I'm like, oh my god, I've never
bunions.
noticed this, but I really think toes should be like
yeah,
straight.
bunions.
I don't see the bunions, thankfully, because they're covered, whether it's in Birkenstocks,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, like I can see the
Yeah.
toes are straight, but I look at them and I'm like, yo, if your feet are that nasty, put them away, man. Like seriously. Then you got unkept
Oh.
toenails. Then you've got
fungal
like
toenails.
people wearing sliders and socks, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how I feel about sliders and socks. I guess it's less haram than wearing just having toes out. I guess I don't know.
There's a lot.
It's a bit of a
there, man.
confusing one.
You've triggered multiple
There's a lot to unpack.
things in my head. Lots of
Multiple little
trigger,
bits in there. There you
anger
go.
points and points of anger. So the bent feet, right? Yeah. So it's when they start crowding as well. So you've got the bentness, and then you've got the one that starts like going over the top of the other one, and you're like, it has no.
Oh man,
business
I've
there,
seen
right?
this.
And then
I'm like, are you not gonna get that
Yeah.
checked?
you know what I mean. So you can get this with the knees as well to allow for much less degree, but we call them varus and valgus deformities depending on which way they're going. So if they're going out and in, slightly different names.
Mm.
But yeah, and then as a secondary consequence to that, the bent nail or the overhanging, toe or whatever, well then the nail doesn't get cut and it just grows and grows and grows, right? And then that becomes like discolored. And the other thing we didn't talk about is like fungal nails, right? When you have like nail missing, or you have like yellowish discoloration.
I don't think I want to talk about that, to be honest.
Yeah. But we digress. The point that I was making, so I was at Star City, I was going to watch a film. I can't remember what film I was watching. It's a good film though. And like you said, there was somebody inside queuing for ice cream with white socks on and sliders. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? It's clearly a slipper. It's designed for inside the house. What gives you the right to think you can wear that in a public forum? Like, please go home and change. Like,
what gives them the right to not wear it in a public forum?
Man. There are certain levels of social etiquettes and norms. I was in the store today, man. I went to Duncan James, right? It's like a suit store in Warsaw. So I've been there a long, long time. And
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've lived in Birmingham for nearly 28 years.
Warsaw,
I've never
Warsaw.
heard of this store.
Yeah, Warsaw.
Continue.
Right next to Five Rivers. It's on the back side of Five
Same
Rivers.
thing.
But you wouldn't know unless
Okay.
you got a reason to go there. I've rented quite a few things from there, so it's a proper like gentlemanly type store. And I was
Of course, just right up your alley.
absolutely. So I was picking up some patent leather shoes. We got a black tie event this weekend, and behind the counter there was this picture of some like a real person. I think the person that owned the store or the founder, like from the 1930s, and he was like immaculately dressed. And there was like, I can't remember the quote. It was something about like, made for gentlemen or something like that. And I was just like looking at it, feeling so happy. I was like, there's a proper way to be dressed. Now, I'm not saying like, what you're wearing now is completely appropriate because you're inside your house, right? I'm not saying that you can't wear casual things, but there is a way, A, there's a way to wear casual things, and B, there are certain settings. But then I had a secondary thought.
Yeah, but it is
I had
summer.
a secondary thought, and it's like, well, if I'm on holiday, it's near the beach, normally I'll walk around in my flip-flops. Is there any difference? So then I was differentiating between, I have this thing about...
Well, you should be on the beach. You should be barefoot, really, because trying to walk and stand in flip-flops doesn't work.
Up and to the beach, not actual beach. You're going from your hotel to the beach.
Oh,
right?
the
Or wherever it
ball.
might be, like around your complex, to the pool, let's say, right? But then I think I delineated that actually my hate, if it's like a flip flop which has got like the two, well, I don't know, I think you call them G-string flip flop or something like that.
They're called thongs in Australia. That's all I know.
That's
Yeah.
completely off right there. Right.
G-string.
Thongs, right. Those I don't seem to have as much of a problem. Like if I see somebody wearing some Havanas on the outside, I'm like, my brain doesn't get angry. It's when I see sliders. I think the real anger about the sliders, which I think I mentioned to you before, is if that's the end of the shoe, then the toe should align to here. It's when they're falling out like this. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? You need to retract your feet because I don't want to see that shit. And it's just, oh God, this is the anger, man. Like I nearly had to leave the line.
Okay. If you have to pick one, is it toes over the front or heel over the back?
Oh, toes over the front, man, all day. I don't care about the heel. Heel is not my focus.
I care about the heel.
Never go
no,
there.
the heel has to sit flush. It's got to sit flush on the jutti, man. On the slipper slider, it's got to sit flush. Can't be doing this hanging out business.
Hang is not good. Hang is not good.
So what I'm saying is, Karan, all right, if you've got unkept feet, what do you do?
What do you mean?
Hot day, you want to go outside, get some sun on your feet, what do you do?
All right, so you're saying, okay, what's your solution, right? Man or woman?
Start with men first.
Men's difficult because you're not going to put nail varnish on, so you can't cover that shit, man. So you got to cut your nails. No, you got to cut your nails. You've got to get that stuff treated before you go outside, man. You can't be going out with that. Right, so some guys, man, like they just let their nails grow so long. Bro, you're gonna cut me, like you're gonna walk and you're gonna slice a bit of my skin off. It's dangerous. Cut that shit, man. Like clearly, when you look at your feet, you must see it. Like, why are you ignoring it? It's disgusting. You wouldn't do it with your hands, would you? Like, oh my God.
Some people do with their hands, but okay, all right, fine. So men just gotta cut their nails. That's it. What about the hard skin on the feet? When you're wearing sliders and you look at people's feet and you can see the hard skin on the heel, on the edge of the toes, and I'm like, yo, this is not attractive, man. Can you cut that out?
I have a machine for that. Softens, gets rid of the calluses.
Yes, you do. You wouldn't let me use it.
You've seen it, haven't you? Yeah, it's a great machine. I need to do it again, actually. It's good. Yeah, it helps actually with the shaping of the nail as well. It's a fabulous machine.
And this brings us to our sponsor this week. We are sponsored. No, we're not. It's cool. Anyway. Okay, sliders, happy days. You're not happy about it. Fine. What's tough, Karan? I guess you just got to live with it, mate. It is what it is. Don't look down, basically. I know for you, having kept feet is a sign of cleanliness.
Mate, it's the first marker, man. I mean,
or exactly. Personal maintenance.
Other men, it doesn't really bother me. But obviously, as a man who still can be attracted by other women, I think I told you before when we were chatting with Sanj and Shindy, it's like, the first place my eyes go are to the feet. If the feet are kept, then we can proceed. If the feet are not kept, thank you, bye-bye, man. You need to go somewhere else. If you're not going to keep your feet well, nothing else is being kept well.
So if you were on a date with a girl and it's winter time,
I dropped the
how are you going to inspect the feet?
Under the table. And that's so you don't...
What if she's wearing trainers, bro?
I'm a doctor, man. I'll take that stuff off.
Yeah, but how are you going to be able to inspect the feet?
So
maybe you got to be like 6 months deep into the relationship before they start showing the feet.
So
then what?
You need to create a scenario that would force the prospective date to show their feet. So such examples may be...
So you say spa day
go to the
Oh, yeah, nah, Gurdwara, man. People are sneaky.
You might not take socks off there.
I don't take my socks off in the Gurdwara. Very, very rarely
Correct.
does
No,
that
correct.
happen.
As a
You want to do
man,
spa
as a
day,
man, you
you got
wouldn't.
to have it.
Most ladies, if you're wearing a suit, if English clothes, yeah, no. Right. That's true.
So you want to say to a girl, third date, come to Gurdwara, come in a full suit,
that's
and then I want you to come in your
also very
jutti as
important
well.
to me. Let's see, your level of spirituality. So another assessment point. But yes, yours is much more realistic. So go to spa. That's good. But again, quite early, man. Third date, like, come on, let's go to the pool. Let's see if you can swim. Can you swim? I'm not going to help you. That's important.
That's important.
I could
You
leave
can
with
leave
that.
with that.
No, it's difficult. Trampolining, maybe. No, you're gonna have your socks on for that. Yeah, I'd have to give it some thought.
See?
Have to give it some.
Have to give it some thought. And what if you're 6 months deep and you really like the person? Would you let that slide?
If you're 6 months deep and you're comfortable with each other, then you can probably talk about it and work on a solution. Got to bet yourselves.
What can the solution be? You're born with the toes you have.
No, but it depends what you're talking about here. If it's you don't put nail varnish on properly,
What if they got a fat bunion on the
can be
side?
treated. That's fine. You're talking about things that can be treated. So as long as it's the treatment, that's okay. If there's no treatment,
What if they don't want it to be treated and they're like, this is me and my truest, authentic self? Then
I
what?
don't need to do that. Fine. Always solution, man. Always solution. Okay. These are all hypotheticals.
Oh, I like how you're thinking. I like that. I like that.
Parts of the body.
All
Gateway,
right.
gateway into everything else.
All right. We can
Okay.
wrap that. Yeah. We can wrap that segment or that little bit of the segment.
Yeah?
Second part, you want to talk about this. I'm not marketing anything. No, I'll mark it now in the episode. Yeah, okay, fine. That's one done. Okay. Right, next bit. Okay. You must have seen Mandeep Kaur and what happened to her in New York City. So she is a lady who committed suicide.
30 years old.
She has two daughters. Yeah, she has two daughters. And she basically had an abusive husband. It's massively circulated in the Sikh community online. You can see it everywhere. You can find it pretty much everywhere. So much so that the outrage got so loud that an investigation has now happened. It could be investigated as a homicide, not suicide. And the conclusion is the guy's basically, everyone's saying that he's a horrible person. He abused her. He pushed her to the brink of her wanting to kill herself. And she did. So pretty fucked up story. Not the most pleasant thing to hear. And there's not really, I don't really have much to add to it except that it sucks. It shouldn't happen. I wish she had someone to talk to. And I guess education with this kind of stuff starts at home with the parents, where they should talk to their kids about how they should treat other people so that everyone knows how to handle things. Simply sending your person to find someone in India because they can't find someone in their own native country could be a bit of a red flag for how they act or treat people. I've seen all these like different opinions online, and I might have taken a few on board and said, this is my opinion now. I don't know where I fully sit on it. I know it's wrong. I'd like to know more about how it all happened before I start drawing conclusions and start blaming, the husband straight away. I'd like to understand more about the whole scenario. That's my perspective.
Okay. So I guess a couple of things for me. So why did it happen? So everyone's obviously asking that question, and there is obviously well documented from what her family are saying. There's video evidence and messages that date back 8 years. Originally they were living in India. That was hell. But then when they moved to New York, she became even more kind of segregated and isolated from her family. So the abuse just went up. Domestic abuse, physical abuse. He was having extramarital affairs, coming back drunk most nights, beating her.
I want to see the extramarital affair stuff and how it's true, or how people know this. Is it a rumor? I'm not defending anybody here, but I've been guilty of jumping to conclusions way too quick, listening to what everyone said online without seeing what's behind it. And I just want to make sure that all this stuff is there before I jump to conclusions, man. Or not even jump to conclusions. Obviously, it's clear that she was abused and this happened, but I don't want to start putting things out there that could potentially be a false story or not without reading it for myself or reading it from a news outlet.
Fine,
or someone who understands the situation to the nth degree.
Investigation. But irrespective, from a high level point of view, there are multiple things, multiple causative factors here. One thing I will say is the number of people I see in hospital who come in with attempted suicide, right, is very, very high. So even if you have the wish to end your life, to actually follow through with ending your life takes a lot of courage. And I can tell you that because people they pull out. They try, or they try in the softest way, or they try so they'll be found, or so they don't really try to cry for help. But
like an appeal for help.
So to do it, and the thing for me is age 30, man. Indy, that's you and me, man. That's you and me. Okay, we're It's like, I think it's actually your age, but I'm a little bit older. It's 2022, man. We just gone through a world pandemic. How is this shit still happening? How is it allowed to happen? How do people not respect life? How can they not be like, look, all this shit has happened. We're lucky to be alive. And when I look at what's been said at the moment, the two main things were he wasn't getting the dowry he was promised. So there's this figure that's been quoted, which is 50 lakh rupees. So if that were
50,000, hang on, 550 lakh, a lakh is 100,000, so 5 million rupees.
Yeah. Whatever that equates to pounds wise.
So 5 million rupees.
So
that ain't that much. Let me just do a quick one. Go on, carry on. Go on.
And he wanted a son. Right? So 2 daughters. This Punjabi thing, this Asian thing about wanting a boy. Like, how far do you take that, man? I think that was the other thing.
You want 500,000.
Oh, it is. So it's 500k. 500k, yeah?
Hang on. How many? Hang on. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is... No, 5 million rupees is £50,000. Yeah. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah,
I added too many zeros. Okay.
You wanted 50 grand and you wanted a boy. You got 2 daughters, 2 healthy daughters. You're not giving me a boy. I mean, this sounds like Henry VIII, right? With his 6 wives.
Sounds archaic.
Right? And it's just like, well, what do you want her to do? What can she do in that scenario? He's locked her in a crane. There's a video. There's photos that come out of her in this crane, kind of like they used to drive trucks, long haul, the ones we see in the motorway all the time. That container at the back. Yeah. The bit that gets separated from the front bit. Yeah. He's locked her in there and he's made videos of her having to wee and poo in there, and he's sent that to her sister. Like, it's just... And when I hear about the level to which people can be abusive to each other, it just makes me think, man, look, we're both married. We're both married, Indy, right? And okay, we have 5 to our wives. To get to the point where you can get so angry that you hit that person repeatedly, multiple times, I can't even comprehend or fathom how you get to that state. How can you live with yourself day to day? Right? Like, where is your conscience?
It's dark,
it's so dark. It's so dark, man. Like, when you
have no idea. You don't know where someone's head is. You don't know what's pushed them to that brink. This is basically a psychologist's dream, because they can sit and analyze this person and really understand what pushes someone to the brink of wanting to do something like this to another human being. And
malicious.
Yeah, it's not the most pleasant conversation, but equally, I'm not surprised, because when we spoke to Garman on this about the domestic violence and how cases of it increased dramatically during lockdown, there's still a continuation of this afterwards. There's still going to be those that survive through lockdown are still going to get it afterwards. It's not going to just disappear. It might go to a lower extent, or it might be more extreme. And in this case, it clearly got more extreme.
Yeah, just put me in a very dark place. I think I was trying to understand the malice. I think that's the bit that scared me the most, right? It's understanding, because I read a lot of Peterson, and Jordan Peterson talks about the chaos that lives within us, lives within all of us, and the yin and the yang, and obviously there is the propensity for all of us to be a monster. The fact that we choose not to be gives us value in doing good things, right? And fine, that's fine when we're talking about hypothetically. I have the potential to be bad. I have the potential to kill someone. Fine. And then you see something which, maybe you relate a little bit more to because Punjabi and Sikh and that kind of thing. And then I'm just like, So I was just sitting there trying to understand how can he live day to day? How is he not wanting to commit suicide? after doing what he's doing and what's happening now.
So maybe this is speculation. Maybe that was commonplace in his home, and maybe therefore he picked that up as learned behavior and put this forward. I'm not justifying anything. I'm severely speculating here, but when you look at stuff like that, you can sometimes pinpoint it to the way that someone's been brought up or stuff they've been exposed to carry those behaviors forward.
Yeah, it's not going to be random. I'll tell you that. It's definitely not going to be random. There are going to be patterns. There are going to be, like you said, learned behaviors. Most of the values that we initially have are going to be from learned behavior, observation, what we've been told, your perception of right and wrong. So again, yeah, you're right. If he saw that in his house, if his dad hit his mom, that's the norm, isn't it? You got to put somebody in line. That's what you do. And I think if he had the backing of what it sounds like, because I think the case is now being filed against the father-in-law, the mother-in-law, and his sister, not just him. So they're making a case. Actually, there was lots of other kind of co-conspirators as it were, and if they were egging him on, because again, you'd look for a voice of reason. So, if I was being a bit unreasonable, I reckon Meher, my sister, she'd chime in and be like, "Listen, mate, that's wrong." Right? Bit of objectivity. Yeah, calm down. I'm sure you'd have the same. But if you got everyone egging you on, saying you're right, carry on, she deserves it, or whatever, then it's just dark, man. It's just dark.
Yeah,
that's my take.
So yeah, hopefully there's a good outcome that comes of this. The kids get taken off him, and they have a stable home, because clearly they've been through a lot, seeing all that anguish happen at a young age. The only video that I saw, and I was like, "Yo, I need to step out of this," because the video of him pretty much strangling her with like a pillow of some sort, and you can hear the kids in the other room saying, "Stop, stop," and I was like, "That's dark." Like we've got nieces, nephews that are like have been 6 or 4 years old, and to think that they have the intellect to then scream out and say that is not pleasant, and it's not something a kid should have to develop an instinct for at a young age.
Absolutely. I mean, that's an angle we didn't even talk about, but yes, from the kid's perspective, like how is life now without a mum? And she would have known that. I mean, she said that in her that kind of chilling statement before she left. It's like she acknowledges, that she is leaving her kids behind, but the pain is that bad that there is no other out. So that.
Most parents tend to live for their kids.
Yeah, it's when somebody comes in, Indy, and
to be pushed beyond that is dark.
When we are assessing somebody's risk to self, risk to others, before we discharge somebody who's claiming that they have what we call suicidal ideation, that they may want to end their life, we are trying to get them to verbalize reasons for them not doing it. And it tends to be, well, I wouldn't do it because of this person, this person, this person. What are you living for, essentially? And when that is kind of not enough, then that's you're in a bad place. That's when you're super vulnerable. Yeah.
There we go, man. That was that. All right, so confessions time, Karan. Confessions of a married man. You got one, I got one. You go first.
Mine was.
Work etiquette.
Oh yes. So a few weeks ago, we had a gentleman come to service our Aga. So for those who don't know, so I'll explain. So Aga is a country kind of farmer-esque style oven. It's on the whole time. Ours is gas operated. It's something that farmers use. It's got 4 compartments and then 2 hobs. And the reason why we say it's for farmers is because when lambs are born, baby lambs are placed in the bottom of one of them. It's like an incubator. So it's super kind of industrial looking. We inherited it when we got the house. We didn't know what an Aga was before that. Can't live without it now.
I walked past it last week. Like, do you remember?
Is this on?
And I was like,
is it on?
Your oven's on. You're like, it's always on. And I'm like, what?
Yes. I remember the conversation now. It has to be serviced. And so we had a guy come out, Danny, to come service it. He's done it a few times. And I was just thinking about, you often have people come to the house and do work, right? And so we have a certain way we do things. But I've often wondered how other people do things with workers. So for example, if somebody's coming to your house to work, Indy, whether it be your current place or mom and dad's place, what do you do about shoes? Off. Shoes off. And you'll say it. Or will you,
Or, unless there has been a few times where they've had to keep going in and out of the house to go to the car. So what I do is I put a sheet down, and the sheet goes in between the place,
You got like a
back
runner.
and forth. Especially if it's in like carpet. So say you got the Sky guy over, yeah, and he's in the nice room with the nice carpet. You're like, no. You want to put down the sheet in it to make sure he just walks on the sheet, does his business there, and then you can just lift the sheet up and put it away, and then you're all good.
Yeah, that's good. We normally do it for painted decorators.
That's my etiquette.
Good. Sheet covers I don't mind either, though. I think they're quite handy. Kind of those CSI style.
Sheet covers are good. Yeah. Most of them are equipped with that now.
Good.
Yeah,
that's one thing. And then, are you somebody who needs to watch the whole job, or I'll check in with you at the end when you're ready to go?
Depends. So we had the plumber over recently at the flat.
One second.
Change some stuff.
The father and
when he was over, he came over a second time. Yeah. No. This isn't Dad.
The plumber came.
It was the banda who. It was the plumber who was recommended by Dad. And he's like a normal lad. He's about 35. Right. He lives in Ilford. His name's Juggy, right? And he came over. Yeah. Exactly. He came over and he was sorting some stuff out. And I had to sit with him and just like ask him how things are going, why it wasn't working, because I wanted to know for myself. Because I tried to do some things and I tried to understand it. It didn't really work.
Based on interest.
Then afterwards, that was based on interest. And then afterwards, he said, I've got a bit of an error coming up. And then I helped him troubleshoot it. So I was on the computer working through stuff, trying to Google it, get him instruction manuals. He was doing all the manual stuff. So we kind of worked in unison.
You, team effort.
So for me, it turned into understanding. Then it turned into help.
You felt good about yourself. You contributed.
Yes.
All right. So give me an example where...
most of the time, obviously, because... Hang on. So most of the time in the past, whenever I've been at mum and dad's house, my dad always told me, even when I was young, watch him. Stand over there, watch him.
Because?
I'm like, why? And he said, watch him in case they steal something. And I was like, they're going to steal anything. But hey, that's his protective instinct. I've just learned to do that and do it in the right way.
I remember in your mum and dad's house where you've got visible weapons. I think they're already scared, man. They see the weapons and like, we're not messing with these lot, man.
Yeah, there is that, but also when we weren't living there and it was, say, at the shop and living in the flat above there, it was like, oh, watch him. And I was like, let's be real. I'm 8 years old, okay? If they wanted to just smack me one, I'd be on my ass, knocked out clean if they wanted to nick something.
You're going to scream.
What am I going to do, really?
You're going to piss yourself and you're going to scream. Best weapons, okay?
No, if the guy has it already in his head he's going to steal something and I'm the only one there, he's not going to give me notice. Exactly. He's going to lead me into a false sense of security, turn around and deck me clean, and then take everything and go. So what am I going to do at the age of 8 years old?
Okay, you need to learn to watch. David,
nothing. I'm going to watch him knock me out. That's what I'm going to do. Right?
He's teaching you never give up. Okay, there's always a way. That's what he's teaching you.
No. He's teaching me just watch him regardless. Fine. Now, if it comes to other things, I just tend to leave him to it. So I'm like, look, you do you, I'll do me. Tell me what's wrong and tell me how it happened. And if I want to know more, I'll ask you more.
Whenever you feel like checking in. Yeah, I'm of the same vein now. I kind of feel like, I think my dad is quite similar to your dad, where dad just loves contractors coming around. It's like makes his day. He just loves having a chat. Like, the boiler man will come, it's like a 20-minute job, and then it becomes like an hour because they want to talk about everything. And then dad will tell them about how to do the garden, right? And it's just
there we go.
This, and this. But he just becomes friends. So, and there's this thing about how, Punjabi community where, you treat guests as like very high level, right? I think dad extends that to contractors as well. Like contractors, they give them like full red
you are a sea level.
Dad's best one, right, is so the person will come. It's a contractor that dad arranged. So we have this kind of system where if I'm booking actually no, it doesn't matter who books it actually. If I'm saying that I'm going to have the time available to babysit the contractor, then I need to be there, right? I'm not going to put it on dad in case he has work to do, right? Sometimes what dad will do is he hasn't checked in with me, but he'll just assume like I'm just free because I'm at the house. And
because you're a free man.
So the contractor will come, and then dad has this funny thing that he does. He'll never say my name in front of a contractor, right? So No, no,
What,
no,
like
no,
code
no, no, no.
names?
No, it's not like that. It's not like he doesn't want to say my name. This is what Dad will say. So, he'll say, John, this is the lad. I become the lad, right? Like I'm some knocker, and then he'd
Right.
like make John a cup of tea. That'll be the first instruction, and then Dad was pissed off and go back to his desk
Yeah.
until he wants to go and check in, and then I become the kind of the tea making person.
Yeah.
What's your view on snacks and tea and drinks? Like, what's your how many times are you gonna ask? You can ask once.
I don't mind, man. I'll feed him. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, cool. Do you
Right.
want a cup of tea?
Right.
Do you want a biscuit? Do you want some snacks? I ain't gonna
Oh,
give you lunch, but do you want like nibbles and stuff? I'll give you that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And how many times if they've finished the the hot beverage, will you go back and ask again? Or
I'll be like, do you want something cold? Because who wants to have two hot beverages?
reasonable?
Normally, if you say, do you want some water? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Or do you want another? And
Whatever
then
it
like
might be.
another cup of
Yeah,
tea,
yeah.
not another beer, right? Another cup of tea. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. And then that tends to tie it over,
The other
mate.
thing I do is I'm very wary when somebody asks for coffee with milk. The amount of milk, right? Milk is a very, very
How do you make a coffee? I swear we've covered this, but I put the milk in first, then the hot water on top, so it doesn't burn
which
the
is the
coffee.
correct way. But when for me, milk, I have black coffee, right? But I know people have different amounts of milk with coffee, right? So it's a very subjective thing. So I'm not going to know.
Yeah. Some like a splash.
I'm not going to know how
Same
much
with tea.
milk that you want. Yeah, exactly. Even if it's tea. So what I do is I have a separate container which is just for milk, which I'll place on the tray, and
Oh my god, you
right,
serve
you
them
can
it
have the
separately.
milk to your optimal level, and then there's no issue. So that's a personal thing that I like to do.
You're doing this restaurant service, man. I'm like, listen, I'm
Right.
giving you one mug
Right, we do have a
because
mug. Do you have a go-to
minimal
mug?
washing up. Yeah.
We have an IKEA.
No,
set.
I don't give the nice mug. I don't
Right.
give my favorite mug. I give like the
Okay.
least
We
favorite
have
mug.
IKEA stuff which is dedicated to contractors.
Yeah, that is a
These are 4 blue cups.
yeah. In case it gets
I
broken.
guess so. It's just really visible. It's like a full blue cup. It's like the ugliest cup in the world, man. Like you'd never use it.
See, I'll know if you're in a
Give you
good
that
mood with
shitty
me
blue
now
cup,
when it
mate.
comes to yours.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I want a cup of tea. If you give me the shitty blue
Contractor.
cup, I'm like, we got problems to sort out.
I might do that. That's quite funny, actually. Yeah, and I got caught out with this, man. Like back in the day, meaning when we got this house and we had one of the bigger rooms done. I think this is one of the first contractors that I had found and didn't do much when I was in the old house. I was kind of coming to that kind of age where I could do things, and they came and I was like supplying them with food every day, man. Like 2-liter bottles of beers and donuts and snacks. And I was like, they keep eating everything, man. I was like, and then I felt more pressure to keep buying them things. I used to buy like 6-pack of cans of pizza at the end of the week. Like I put on the full spread, and then my dad was like, "Yeah, that was like, listen,
mistake.
paying them for labor." No, no. What he said to me because when you go to work, do they buy you food and drink? He's like, "Nope." So why are you giving them food and drink? And I was like, "Oh my god, that makes so much sense." I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do this ever again." So then I went back to
You were so naive.
Although when our room got completed, the full project, we did go out with our builders who are like friends now. We went for a mixed grill. We're right at the end of the project. Yeah.
Got it.
So work records, man.
There we go. I'm glad we clarified that, mate. I'm glad you have standards. It's good to know. Whenever I'm there, you never make me a cup of tea or anything.
Because-
So yeah, it's cool.
Give the context. You walk in with a little dubby, you bottle of water, you got everything you need. You base your family.
Hey
now, you can
man,
ask,
I had melon last time. I had melon. Okay.
oh yeah.
I had melon. Incredible
Yeah,
job.
because we went to Pericles anyway.
That was class. That set me up so well for that podcast. I was so happy.
It's good, man. It's juicy melon,
I
wasn't
was like, yes. Banged a 20-minute nap beforehand.
Oh, yeah,
I was
you're
ready,
super
man.
nap. You could not go on about.
Oh,
the
that super nap
nap.
went down a treat.
I was like,
It's been tempting to do naps
you just haven't had the
since.
time. No
Very
time.
tempting. 5:30 nap.
No time.
No time. All right. My bit is being busy, man. Socializing. I'm like you 2 weeks ago. I'm tired. I just want a weekend to myself. I just want to relax.
San said this.
But when you've got two people married and they're together, you got two families and you're in
Right.
two different locations. So You've got two different groups of friends. You've essentially got four groups of people there to juggle, regardless of where you are. So in one area or the other, you're going to have two groups moving or wanting to see you at some point. And it's just like, yo, this is really long. And your weekend just get booked up. And I'm like, it's getting to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm busy that weekend. If they say doing what? I'm like, doing fuck all.
You got to own it, man. You got to own it.
I'm going to sit there, scratch my ass, and do nothing.
Which in your life translates to cleaning something. Because, you know, sounds going to make you clean something. But at least you're at home doing it. So.
I'm not cleaning anything until next bank holiday, actually.
I will check in with the boss, and I'm sure we can arrange for you to clean something.
Bank holidays in 2 weeks. Let's see what happens. Let's see where deep cleaning occurs.
Bank holiday.
I don't want to do anything on that weekend. That'd be really nice.
Somewhere else,
but
you
know, I'm going to Scotland. Yeah. I think I'm going on the Monday.
Yes, the bank holiday Monday.
Yeah, I think I'm going on the Monday.
You been before?
Yeah. So, yeah, I've driven up. I haven't driven up. My dad drove us up when I was a kid, so that doesn't really count. I've been to Aberdeen by flight before. I'm going again for a friend's wedding now. So that'll be good.
Oh, you need to tell listeners about your special outfit.
Wedding.
Oh yeah.
Which
from
one?
India. Was it from India? Where did it come from? You little Sherwani. You gave us a bit of a fashion show.
I didn't get it from India. I bought it from this website called Dia. I spent 30 quid on it.
Dynamite.
And I put it on and it was so itchy. I wanted to take it off immediately.
All the creases. India smell. Love it.
It was so flippant. I put it on. I was like, oh my God, I know why this is 30 quid. It's got no like underlying mesh beneath it.
Listen.
So I got to wear like a solid banana.
Okay. And then you can hear my voice in your ear. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Say Shava, Shava, Mahia, say Shava. You're going to be like this doing this dance.
You wish, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
it's a Hindi wedding, isn't it? So you got to like dress to fit in a little bit.
I've seen videos. I've seen videos in Bollywood
which means, but she's marrying a white guy, right? So it'll be fine. But what this means is that I'll fit in fine. I got no problems. Yeah, I'll be good. I'll be good.
Mahia, Shava, Shava.
Anyway, I'm tired, man. I just want a weekend to myself, and I'm sure people can relate to that. And I'm sure everyone's busy socializing and doing all these things.
And then, socially, I'm going to be super, super selective. It's social events that don't require me to dress up. They don't require Shindy to have a makeup artist. They don't require me to drive long distances. If the dinner date's fine, but I'm limited once a week. That's as much as I want to be out.
Yeah.
And I like activities. But even that, I need a break from activities, man. I've been doing all this kind of thrill-seeking stuff, jumping off things and doing whatnot. I just want to hibernate till Christmas. It's kind of my feeling now. Back into the year, just hibernate, man. Just hibernate and get rid of this heat. And
I'm thinking like expense. I'm like, yo, things are getting a bit expensive doing all the socializing. I'm like, just come to my yard, or you know what? Call me.
Right. Zoom call, baby. Right. Back to lockdown.
Call me. Calling me will suffice. Yeah, that's very good. I like that.
I can see that.
So there we go. That's my little
confession.
That's my little gripe confession for the week.
It's good that you got to that point, man. You got to be honest.
All right. Thank you. All right, next segment. All right, so Dr. Chronicles, Karan, fill me in on this week's story. You got to give some advice and you got to give a story. And I think you got a 2 in 1.
Always, baby. So, when's the last time you had a blood test, Indy? Oh my God!
So
this laugh.
This blood test I had, right? This laugh is because I was fucking fuming, right? So I saw this shitty, absolute bitch of a nurse, right? And I mean this. I mean this with love. Like she was a bitch because I went in. I sat there and she was a prescribing nurse, because the doctor wasn't available on that day, so I got pushed to her. I said, I need a blood test. She said, what for? I said, I've been getting ill repetitively for the last 6 months.
GP practice,
I keep on getting colds.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. I said, I keep on getting colds. And she said, okay. And I said, so I need to have a blood test to see what's going on. I want to have everything checked. She said, well, you don't need that. And I was like, no, I think I do. I'd like to have a blood test, please. And she said, no, I don't think you need to have that at all. And I said, but I'm asking you to give me one so I can just have a broad scale check of everything, see if I'm low in anything or anything vitamin-wise that I'm deficient in, etc. She wouldn't give it. I had to plead with her. Eventually, she gave me something, wrote on it, and said, "Here you go," and left. And I was like, "You're being difficult for no reason. It's not your money, right? And it's not like I'm asking for no reason. I've got a patient history of not feeling well, so let me go and have it done." Got to the hospital, and the guy said, "Are you diabetic?" I said, "No." And he said, "Right, she's marked you down for a type 2 diabetic test."
Reasonable.
And I'm like, "I'm not type 2, I'm not diabetic." But she said, "Yeah, she's just testing if your insulin's high." And I'm like, "But I'm not fucking diabetic. If your insulin's high or if your sugar's high." And I was like, "Hang on. The only thing that you can ascertain from this blood test is to check if I am diabetic or if my sugar is high." He said, "Yeah." I was like, "So she lied to me?" He's like, "Oh, I wouldn't say that." I was like, "Yeah, she did. She fully fobbed me off." Yeah. So there you go. That's the last time I had a blood test. I did it anyway because I was like, "Well, fuck it. I'm here now. I may as well do it."
Diabetic.
And that's it.
No,
I'm not diabetic.
It's a reasonable.
What a surprise!
No, and it's not a surprise. I mean, tiredness. The problem with being tired.
That's not a reasonable. Shut up, man. That's not a reasonable check.
No.
She lied to me. I said, give me.
Listen.
I said, give me a broad scale check, please.
It's patients like you that get on our tits because you're not medically trained. Number one, okay. So when you say a broad test, there's no magic test we can do that just will find things. Tiredness is a super vague symptom which has hundreds of causes. Fine. So based on that,
I didn't say I was tired, but okay.
Ill for a lot, yeah. What was it?
I've been ill for the last 6 months. Like continuously, I kept on getting colds. Kept on taking time off work.
Your immune state is a bit weakened. That was your main symptom. Okay. Diabetes can give you that, and that's reasonable for a brown person to check. Now, what you did wrong, perhaps in this scenario, is that you didn't do the rest of the tests. If you just did one test, that's not reasonable. Someone like you, vitamin D, B12, calcium, like this is a whole barrage of kind of like tests we do for this type of symptom, which is a bit vague and broad. But diabetes definitely would be one of them. Yeah, one of them. Not one of them.
I understand. Not the sole purpose of the entire blood test.
And who's telling us?
Anyway,
it all depends on the competency of the person you're seeing. If somebody doesn't have knowledge of which blood test to request, right, which you might think is obvious, and you'd hope as the public, whoever you're seeing, should know that. It's not, man. I have junior doctors that don't know which blood test to ask for.
Yes.
So I can only imagine. Anyway, the point was the actual taking of the blood. Tell me about that. How was that?
Smooth. I didn't have any issues. I have seen a couple of nurses that have been like wobbly and then it hurt like badly. But normally I'm okay. Fine. Yeah. I just don't look. I look away.
Fine. You're not someone who gets like kind of hyper itchy or you feel like you're gonna faint or anything like that. Or?
No, I just don't like. I don't like the feeling of the needle going in and then the blood being pulled out. It's just like, okay,
cool. Well, obviously, taking blood is just a really super common thing that we have to do all the time, and it is different when you're on the other side. Like I do not like my blood being taken. I'll get to the point where I'm about to faint and my veins like contract and you can't see them. Yeah, I hate it. But taking it, pro level, man. Like do it all the time. No issues there. So I had this 50-year-old Jamaican fellow. He came in like big guy, and he'd come in with some chest pain. I was chatting to him, and he wasn't. When somebody comes in chest pain, which is the most common symptom, chest pain and being short of breath are like 90% of what we see that walks into the front door, right? Obviously, not all chest pains are going to be a heart attack, but that's the thing that's on top of our mind. Is it a heart attack? And sometimes when you're asking questions to try and delineate what is serious chest pain and what is like, don't worry about it, it's just a muscle type chest pain. He was kind of in the middle. Like he was kind of at the age where he's a smoker. He's got risk factors. He probably could have some angina, but this doesn't fit into this. And I was like, okay, clinically meaning just by listening and talking to you, I can't really dismiss this without doing a blood test. I'm like, I need to do blood test, right? He lost it, man. Lost it. He was like, oh, Jazz, no, anything with the blood test. No, he wasn't angry. He was just like became really panicky. And he's like, right, I need to go and get a fag. I need to have a fag. I need to get myself ready. I said, right, you got 10 minutes. So he went out and I did my typing of the rest of the case. It was like 20 minutes before the end of my shift. And he came back and then he was still like, I thought the fag would like maybe relax him. He was more tense. And he's like, I don't want to look at the needle.
Yeah.
But then he kept looking. I was like, why are you looking at it? You don't look at it. Stop looking at it. This is the point where I've got the tourniquet and I'm just feeling for the vein. There's no needles. There's no needles. And he's still freaking out.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, what music do you like? And he's like, oh, reggae. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, I can have some fun here. Like, I can really lighten the mood. So I was like, all right, listen, I'm Punjabi. Have you heard of Punjabi music? And he was like, yeah. Mundi the Bachkan here. And I was like, yeah. It's come a bit on from then, but as we've seen from the Commonwealth Games, it's still bangs.
Yeah.
Right? And
Oh,
then I played this song.
Pause for a sec. They had all those songs to choose from, and they threw us back to like the early 2000s with that. And I was like, oh, okay, I get you want to appeal to Middle England. All right, that's fine. Yeah, I just think there's other songs they're going to show. Anyway, sorry, continue. I don't know, man. I don't know. I would have hopefully begged for something. Yeah, maybe, but I guess that's the only hype song I guess you could pick
PMC's kind of
for a closing ceremony at the Commonwealth Games.
No, the Punjabi eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
Maybe,
carry on.
Right?
Maybe.
Yes. So I found a song, a Punjabi song.
So you like have
Punjabi
some fun.
song, which has got some reggae elements. I put it on, and he was like loving life, man. He's like, yeah, jazz, yeah, jazz. He's like this. There's another patient with another doctor on this side, and they were like, what the hell's going on? I was like, but the reason why I like this, and the reason why I was telling some of my juniors about this is, look, every day when we come in, there is stuff that med school will never prepare you for, right? There's no teaching for this, okay?
Yeah.
But you just got to be super creative, man. Like, another junior doctor came to the other day. She's like, oh, Jazz, I got this guy. He works in Birmingham, but he's from Leicester. His GP's in Leicester, right? He's going home. He needs a prescription. Hospitals now don't do the green paper like GPs. You have what we call the FP10. Actually, you'll know what that is because you work in a pharmacy. So we can do a prescription, but it's only for the hospital in Birmingham. He lives in Leicester. He's going back. The pharmacy's now closed. Open tomorrow at 7 a.m. I looked at the tablet. It's not like, it's like an acid reflux tablet. It's not the end of the world. So I said, look, your options are you either get him to send him home. You can go to his GP tomorrow, get the prescription. We can give him the discharge paperwork, right? Or why don't you just do him a private prescription? He can go to any pharmacy and just pick it up, right? Because before that, they were like, oh, yeah, we'll ask him to come back tomorrow. So go home today, come back tomorrow to pick up a basic prescription. I was like, where is the logic, man? Have some creativity, give a solution. That's where the fun is in medicine. So put this Punjabi music on for this guy, a 50-year-old chap. And he just didn't notice the needle. Like, another trick when you're taking blood is the alcohol wipe that you use, or the bit of whatever you use to clean the skin. If you get the needle in a sort of a timely fashion, it actually smoothens the introduction of the needle, so you feel it less. And so this gentleman, he actually said, I didn't even feel the needle. So that's something, it's a little hack, it's a nuance. You have to learn these things. Because what they'll teach you in med school is you do it and then you wave it and you wait till it dries, then you go. But what I found is if you do that, it's just painful. So you get it almost to the point where it's dried.
Does it make it more? Does it make the skin more sensitive? Because obviously the pores have opened since you've made it a bit wet, and now they're closing, and then therefore when you're piercing a needle through it, it's going to feel it more. That's me just using
I've never
simple
found it to sort of go
logic.
Like red or angry or cause phlebitis or anything like that. Yeah. So then he was happy, he had his blood test taken, everything was fine in the end. But I thought that was quite nice. It's just something that we have to do every single day. There are nuances to taking blood. There are nice places we like to go. So generally, guys, in your arms, when you're going to have a blood test, it's generally here, what we call the ACF, what we call the antecubital fossa.
Yeah. Which is where the elbow joint is.
The biggest veins tend to be there. So in an emergency situation, if I need to get access, when we say access, we mean like a cannula or a Ventolin, the needle thing that you put intravenous drugs through. We're going to go straight for the ACF because that's where the biggest veins are. Generally, as well, we try not to put the cannulas there because we leave this for blood taking. So our phlebotomists, generally, who take bloods in hospitals when you're on a ward, they like to use these areas, and we try and then put the cannulas in kind of your hand or here, these kind of other areas. The most difficult population to take bloods in is the elderly. So sometimes regularly we get patients over 90. The patients coming in from care homes and things, and whether it's just the age and the skin has lost its kind of turgor, elasticity, the collagen has gone, or it's that they've had so much steroids over their kind of life. And when I say steroids, I don't mean like bodybuilding steroids. I mean like prednisolone for COPD.
No, you mean like
that kind of thing, or they have rheumatoid arthritis or whatever. It becomes very skin thin, becomes very, very thin. And often what you get is these super, super wobbly veins. So you see the vein, right? You see it and you're like, yeah, I can feel the vein. You put the needle in and the vein just moves. and you're like, ah, shit. And this
Oh,
anyone
that's
just swells up,
painful.
like, you get this massive thing. You're like, oh, so you got a hematoma collection of blood. You haven't got any blood coming. You're like, got to go again. Here's the hack. Right? So you can use it in young people as well, but you don't need it generally in younger people. In the elderly people, when you find the vein that you want, so say it's that vein on my hand there, you give it a little pull.
Hmm.
The pulling of it keeps the vein taut.
Oh, you pull the skin
Yeah,
away.
keeps it taut. So when your needle goes in, it's less likely to jump around because the vein is now taut. Otherwise, when it's loose, it just goes side to side. So that's a little hack. I always tell my junior
Didn't know
doctors,
that.
just make sure the vein's straight. Now, the other thing, more important, kind of again for the younger population, is it's not necessarily the veins you can see which are the best veins. So the most superficial vein might be too small for taking blood over a cannula. It's the veins you can feel. So one thing we get taught, but you only develop over time, is the bounce, the feeling of the vein, right? So what I will do, and what I say to juniors to get wrong most is apply the tourniquet. What most people do wrong is they don't leave the tourniquet on for a longer period of time. I'm not saying leave it on so the arm goes numb and black and falls off. No. Leave it on, get them to drop their hand, do a couple of these clenches, get the blood flowing. Then what you're doing is I almost don't even look. I look away and I start feeling the arm, and I'm just doing this kind of pokey thing like this. And I'm feeling, when I think I feel a vein, then I stop and then I give it a few pokes. So I go, I'm trying to differentiate between what feels like a muscle or a tendon.
Man, this is just like how they do in films.
No,
when they're about to shoot up them sweet drugs.
Not the flick. No, not the flick. Just a little tap. Little tap. I can't really get this on the camera properly. But yeah, that's it. A little tap. I'm like, bouncy. If it's bouncy, it's a vein. That's important. If somebody's not medically trained in an emergency situation, if you're trying to do something with a vein, remember a vein does not have a pulse. If you feel something with a pulse, that's an artery. Do not stick a needle into that because it's going to go. Which sometimes does happen by accident. So sometimes we've cannulated arteries. It's not the end of the world, but you got to put a lot of pressure on. Otherwise it will bleed. And you're like, why is the blood coming out that fast? Why is it so red? So yeah, the next time.
Why is it so red? Isn't all blood red?
There's this thing about arterial blood being oxygenated, so it's a bit brighter than venous blood, which is supposed to be darker. It's all hooey though. Blood is the same color.
Oh yeah, of course. That old conundrum. Yeah.
What you have to
have that conversation daily.
What we have to end up doing is we have to test the blood sample to see the oxygen level. If the oxygen level is super high, it's arterial blood, so that's not good. If it's low, then it's venous blood, and you're okay. It's all good. Yeah, something we have to do every single day. Blood taking. Hopefully, we get to the point where we can just do like a diabetic check, where you just prick and you get all the blood tests. It's what we call a point of care test. It's like it takes a drop of blood.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Imagine that.
Because often, like people come to.
Why do you need so much blood? Is that because it's needed for like wide scale testing?
There's a lot of tests, and all different tests have to be on their own part of the blood themselves. But when you think about it, it's not actually a lot of blood. It looks like a lot of blood in the bottles, but compared to what you have in your circulating volume, like 5 liters worth of blood in your body, it's peanuts, man. You're talking like a few mils. Yeah. It looks like a lot because they're in the bottles, but it's not a lot of blood. But yeah, hopefully that time comes where we get instant results. Because at the moment, I send that sample off to that guy I was telling you about. Then it's another 2-3 hours waiting for that to be analyzed. That's the wait time. I can't make that happen any faster. You know what I mean? Like, if you've come in and I think you might be having a heart attack, I need to make sure you're not having a heart attack. I'm going to do the blood test. Like, I can't make that go faster, and it's in your interest to wait for that result. Often you get people saying, "Oh, can I go home?"
But if you have a kit that could just like simply drop it on, bam, gives you all the results.
Man. Like,
imagine that.
We didn't have what we have now 50 years ago.
That'd be as you like to say, a game changer. There we go. Speaking of game changers, let's change the segment. All right, wrap that. Next. All right, last segment. Yeah, skip the segment because the first one went on too long. Sorry, cover it next week. So, I have a question. Why is it cheaper to break the law than it is to abide by it?
Context.
Context. So, saw this post on LinkedIn. Yeah, let me just read this out, the whole thing, because makes for good reading, doesn't it? Let me just get it out. All right, so guy on LinkedIn post. Yeah, he says, I ended up yesterday driving my electric car to London from Bristol. A full charge cost me £11 at home. I paid £8 for parking, That's £19 back and forth from London to Bristol. Okay? It's at 2.5 hours door to door each way. So that's 5 hours a day. Yeah? An off-peak return train with Great Western Railways costs around £140 as a minimum and is 1.5 hours station to station. So he could effectively drive back and forth to London, park for a full day 7 times for the price of one train ticket. And he could even drive to London, park his car illegally, hence the break-in law part, in an ambulance bay right outside his office, pay a hefty fine. It would still be cheaper than getting a train ticket. Basically, why is public transport so expensive and yet it's kind of shit compared to other countries? Like, I went to Amsterdam recently. Their public transport's pristine and it's affordable.
When
really
you say
affordable.
Pristine, you mean aesthetically, or what do you mean?
Aesthetically, visually, inside is clean. There's nothing dirty. Like, you know how on the tube you can puff the seats and it's dirty? You sit on those seats, there's no puffing going on. It's just
I guess I don't
clean.
use it as often as you. So to me, the tube is like really clean compared to like New York, where it's disgusting. The metro is dirty, man. But I guess you use it every day. So that's a different perspective from your point of view.
There's tubes, but also like going on like a normal train, whether it's domestically in the UK, some of them are just super horrible to be on. They don't look great. They're really slow. They're like a generation behind, and they hike up the fares year on year. So it doesn't seem like it's the most effective way of doing things.
Zero incentive, isn't it? I think that's
incentive for what?
Transport, like, if you want to reduce people using cars and have more sharing and all this blah 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 congestion, then you've got to make it more affordable, make it more accessible, make people want to do it for a reason. Makes no sense at all.
Exactly. You would rather park in an ambulance bay, right, in your illegally parked car, and take the fine, than get on a train that is probably not got a functioning toilet, probably going to be crammed in. You're not going to get a seat at that time of the morning, being honest. You'll be struggling for any sort of comfort.
I love how extreme the analogy is, but it just makes the point, doesn't it?
It makes the point. And then you've obviously got the rail strikes happening, and you can see why, because all these price hikes that are going on year on year, when you start paying more and more for your rail card or your monthly travel card, whichever it is, and the service level just doesn't really improve. Maybe, but the maintenance level doesn't improve. It just seems just as bad. So where's that money going really? It seems like it's just being banked or going to other people, not the actual service and improving the service and making it better. Imagine what the UK could be if they did.
Is what I did like about the story is real numbers in terms of the actual charge and how many it costs him. I'm thinking about that electric kind of idea now. And next time I'm like, what's the practicalities of it? Like, is it going to save much money? I saw a guy yesterday. What day is today? Wednesday. Yeah, yesterday I went to was at someone's house, and there was a guy who used to work at Eon, and he was telling me about we have solar panels, about charging a battery in our house, then you using that battery to power our stuff. And he was like, it's no brainer, man. He's like, you should definitely do it. With these yikes and spikes that are going up with the energy bills. Like, he goes, whatever you're selling back to the grid is peanuts, man. And I know that, like, the quarterly payments we get are tiny. Doesn't break the bank.
No, it's true. Like, I've seen my parents' house, they sell it for like 0.15 per something, and then they buy it for 0.31. So like, hang on, we're selling it to you for half price, and you're bumping us.
Makes no sense. I'd rather offset what we're using. It does that anyway, so it only sells the excess. So it uses first towards our house, which is good. But now we could do that. Whatever it gives, it really gives. Don't care about that. But then you could charge the rest in a battery and then start using that. So that's probably my next project to look into. Yeah,
so if you have like a generator, that's probably a better investment to store your energy in and use that.
Exactly. Like now at night time, it could all be operated from that rather than the grid.
From that solar power you banked in the day. Imagine how much cheaper your life would be.
So that's definitely something to look into.
Even with the cost of electricity going up at the moment, probably still cheaper to go electric than it is to stick to oil in the long term.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless the price cap keeps going up and up, in which case it might level out. Who knows?
man, there's a new headline every single day. January's at £4,000 an hour, and I see the headline. I'm like, what does it mean for £4,000 for the year? Is that £4,000 for the month? If it's for the month,
it's £4,000 a year.
You again,
so
it makes no sense.
Thanks. It goes from like 1,800 to like, I see all these numbers thrown around. I'm like, okay, just give me a percentage increase. And I think the percentage increase is what kills it. So it's like it's going up by like 40%.
Benefit
I'm like, okay, that's a lot.
40% is 50%. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a movement now where people are saying, let's not pay our heating bills and our electricity bills. Let's just cancel our direct debit. But then everyone's saying, no, don't do that because they'll send the debt collectors after you. You're better off keeping your direct debit in place, refusing payment, and then when that goes through, you can then make a complaint to them and you can say this is too expensive. They might give you a little bit of a price haggle. Don't accept it. Put a complaint in. Then go to the energy ombudsman. And then when you go to the energy ombudsman, if a energy company has too many complaints outstanding with the energy ombudsman, they pay a fine. And each time it gets processed, they also have to pay a fine for each complaint published. So what that does is it essentially puts more pressure back on them. That's probably a better way of trying to put pressure on them, but it would require like thousands of people to do so. It's not a very commonly known thing. I saw it on Twitter the other day and I was like, that sounds rational.
Needs to be organized.
But it seems like a lot of work.
Some sort of organization there.
Yeah.
Like doing a strike, isn't it? Essentially.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. That's probably the better way of not paying your bill than saying flat out, I'm not going to pay it, which is just going to work out badly for you. You'll have the debt collectors running no time.
One other person to them, they're not going to care. Unless you're a collective, you're a mass collective. But yeah, we'll see. There we go. All right, that rounds out the last segment. Cheers for listening, guys. Drop us a comment, subscribe. What's the last bit? Oh yeah, share it with some friends because we've done a revamp. Let us know that your thoughts on the new changes. Obviously, last week's episode went live today, so I don't have any feedback yet. But hope in my next episode we have feedback and we have people to tell us your thoughts. All right. Hope you like the new layout and the new quality of cameras. Give us a shout if it's come out crap, if it's come out clean. And we hope you like the clips on Instagram. Catch you guys next week.